It's been quite choppy. So let's first take a look at that intraday chart for the Nifty 50, trading with cuts of about 0.4% and well below 22,900. In fact, it's trading at a very key level, and we'll get our technical experts to talk about this, very close to that 22,800 mark. That's where it's finding a little bit of support. Let's look at the broader markets as well. And you have cuts of about 0.75% or thereabouts. You see that start was very, very wobbly. You had the low point of the day that was quite considerably lower than what you see right now, and you saw a pretty sharp recovery immediately after that. And this is evident in the small cap space as well, where you have the small cap index that's also trading with cuts of about 0.7%, and this too has rebounded quite smartly from the low point of the day. Let's take a look at the sectoral picture and the heat map here, because this will give you some perspective on how things stand. Pharma is standing out as one of the only gainers. Of course, pharma and healthcare together as a pack are doing particularly well. Some of the pharma names doing particularly well, and we talk about those individual names in just a bit. But realty, it's a sector that has gotten beaten down in the recent past. And auto, on the back of Mahindra and Mahindra losing ground, are both sectors that are underperforming. You have IT and banks, which have so far over the last couple of weeks been resilient, but IT is losing about 1% or so right now, and that's certainly a talking point. And so is the PSU banking index, which is down about 1% or so. But let's very quickly mark a few individual names for you. Mahima, what's on your radar today?
Right. So, a couple of names that are doing very well despite of the, choppiness in the markets. Sandur Manganese is one of them. It's up around 7.6%. GlaxoSmithKline on the back of its numbers, great set of numbers. The commentary coming in is also very positive, which is why the stock is up 16%. Godfrey Phillips is today seeing, once again a good run up in trade. On Friday, we saw that profit booking did take place in this counter, but today the stock is up about 12% as we speak. Megami Organics, and this is on the back of a news update, which is why the stock is seeing a significant up moves. And in terms of what has happened with the counter, well, a couple of things, working in favor of the counter. It's basically China titanium oxide imports will face anti-dumping duty, which is positive for the company, which is why we're seeing up moves of about 8% in the stock. Uflex, another counter on the back of earnings, great set of numbers. All four metrics in terms of revenue, EBITDA, margins, as well as net profit is improved, which is why the stock is up 7%. Manappuram, Nava, TV18, Kirloskar Brothers are some counters which are seeing, some positivity in trade today, but there's some counters which are of course facing the brunt of the markets being choppy, and a few counters and of course this is on the back of earnings as well. A few counters include counters like Aditya Birla Fashion, Easy Trip, all of these counters not doing very well. PTC Industries also not doing very well. In terms of some counters which are really feeling the pain, also include, a couple of names, a lot of other names on the back of earnings as well, Alex. So these are the counters which are, it's both earnings as well as the market sentiments which are pulling down a lot of these counters. Yeah, no doubt. And you didn't mention Mahindra and Mahindra, so I will. Mahindra and Mahindra down about 3% off the low point of the day. I want to stick my neck out here and say that this is a little bit overdone, and perhaps the street is taking a negative view. But if you think about it, the announcement of 30,000 plus bookings for its new electric vehicles is a positive, considering that only a lakh of units were sold in the EV space in 2024. It's a very substantial number, and I don't think that it's fair to compare this with an internal combustion engine. So if you were to say that maybe the numbers are not as fantastic as they were for the Thar, then I don't think that's the right comparison to be made, particularly because these are expensive cars that you're talking about. They're not really volume drivers, and it's a significant development for a company that has made a late move. It was one of the early proponents of electric vehicles through the Reva acquisition, and it's finally now coming back into the limelight. We've got our first caller for the day, but before we go to Srini from Chennai, let me introduce our experts for the day. We've got Avinash Gorakshakar, who is Director of Research at Profitmart Securities, and Brijesh Ail, who is Retail Research Head at IDBI Cap. Thank you so much, gentlemen, as always,
for taking the time. Pleasure speaking with you. Let's go across to Srini now. Hi Srini, thanks so much for calling us. You're calling us, I think, about a stock that is in focus today on account of earnings. What would you like to know?
Yeah. No, my point was I actually thought that the results are good and almost covering the next quarter's part as well overall. So I thought the yearly will be good and I thought I should go for the buy. But unfortunately, it has gone to the lower bottom. So I don't know whether I made a mistake here. How do you read the report? Please advise me on that because I'm not an expert. So.
No worries. And I'm glad that you're tracking the fundamental developments on this counter. You're talking about Zentech, so that Avinash knows what we're talking about. Let me go across to him on the fundamentals. The buy price is 1,104, Avinash, and the numbers just came through post-market hours on Friday. What do you make of the numbers, and would you say that Srini made the right call to deploy money at 1,104?
Yeah, good morning, Alex. See, my sense is I think in most of the defense companies, it's very difficult to actually get a quarter-on-quarter kind of growth. Basically, the business for defense is lumpy. So, this kind of, performance which has come in the December quarter has been one of those quarters where execution has not been up to the mark. But that doesn't rule out the possibility that going forward with the kind of order book the company enjoys, the company will definitely do well. But yes, this quarter has been a big disappointment, and that is obviously getting reflected, by the stock price as of now. See, my sense is that if the investor can keep a investment time frame of at least 12 to 18 months, because this is one company which has got a very healthy order book in terms of drones, and technologically wise, its products are all approved and obviously are all ready to go. The export market is also a very big opportunity for them. So I think, if he can hold on for at least 12 to 18 months, I think then definitely this purchase which he has done will definitely not go in vain. He has to give in some more time because typically, to predict quarter-on-quarter performances is not an easy job, and I think it can be unpredictable. So I think keep a long-term time frame in mind and continue to hold. Definitely good long-term prospects continue.
Continue to hold is the view coming in on Zentech. Basically, Alex, in Q4, what has happened is margins have slid quite significantly for the counter, and this is because of the adverse product mix. But I think in defense, this keeps happening. Zentech Technologies, exactly, which is why probably the stock is seeing that kind of, and plus valuations have never been cheap for this particular counter, which is why it's correcting to the extent of 20%.
I'd also want to very quickly, Avinash, get your opinion on something. So sorry for cutting you off, but on the topic of this, right? Avinash, seemingly in this market with the kind of pessimism that we're seeing, even a small negative is leading to very sharp drops, and people are not, or investors are not willing to take the risk. Is that what is playing out? And did you see something similar with M&M? How did you read the numbers? Because I want to know what you think.
No, I think, Alex, coming to the point of Mahindra and Mahindra, I think it is too over pessimism which is being played in the markets now. I think, as you rightly pointed out earlier in the show, they've got 30,000 bookings for their new electric vehicle, which is a kind of a sort of a record. And I think that clearly proves the point that the product is likely to be a blockbuster product for them. My sense is that, these kind of dips have to be used by investors to actually accumulate such quality companies when such kind of panic comes in the market. I think fundamentals continue to remain strong. And as far as, defense companies' quarterly numbers are concerned, I think there is another company which went public recently, which is Unimec Aerospace. This company has also come out with a horrible set of numbers. And I think today the stock must be down. But that doesn't mean that the company is bad. I think one bad quarter obviously is a disappointing quarter, but obviously in the longer term, I think these businesses will do well. There are going to be lumpy performances, especially for defense companies, because execution and order book inflow, order execution, all that is not designed on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So I think investors who invest in such companies should realize that they have to invest for the longer term. They can't invest on a quarter or a short-term basis.
So that's the view coming in on Zentech, and as well as the defense space overall. The next question that we are taking is on Bandhan Bank. Raman Tyagi is asking this question. He has 430 shares of Bandhan Bank bought at 214 a piece. He wants to know whether he should hold at the current levels or exit. Brijesh, I'll come to you on this one. A very good morning to you. What's the view with respect to Bandhan Banks where charts are concerned?
Yeah, good morning. So specifically the Bandhan Bank from the weekly time frame, the chart is negatively placed. It is making a lower low. not too much of a support at the current level. We can expect some bounce back trade. So maybe closer to 145, 150. It would be advisable to take an exit because on from the long-term perspective, at least from the technical point of view, I think that level will act as a resistance zone.
All right, so that's the view coming in on Bandhan Bank. We have our next caller lined up. Shweta from Hyderabad is calling in. Shweta, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Hi, Mahima. Hi, Alex. Good morning.
Good morning.
My question is regarding transformers and rectifiers.
Okay.
I have 90 shares bought at 1106.
Okay.
And I think the stock is drastically going down after the bonus issue and also.
Right.
So I want to know whether is there anything I should do right now? Should I exit or should I add more?
Okay, Shweta, I just want to know whether you want a fundamental view on this one. What was the thinking behind buying transformers and rectifiers?
Because I see this the power sector, I think it has a huge potential, especially the infrastructure in power sector.
Okay.
So I spotted transformers rectifiers is a very good, fundamentally good stock.
Right.
But nowadays, I think the market is not considering whether which stock or not.
Right,
So,
Shweta, that's...
And also the acquisition is pre-corporate announcement, right?
Correct. And as you rightly mentioned, it's probably the markets, but a lot of factors, playing as well in terms of transformers and rectifiers. Avinash, I'll take your view because she's seen the fundamentals before buying the counter. What's the view and what's the kind of time horizon she can keep holding it for? Because she's sitting on a loss of around 64,000 odd rupees.
No, I think as you rightly mentioned, this stock is trading ex bonus, and I think the numbers which came out in the third quarter have been pretty solid. Very strong performances on the revenue, on the profit side, plus a very strong order book, which is expected to, give the company good visibility over the next, say, 12 to 18 months. So I think, for the time being till the market sentiment is down, I would presume that the stock would underperform. But if the investor has a 12 to 15 month kind of time frame, then I think it does not make sense to sell the stock in panic because fundamentals continue to remain strong. I expect that even the March quarter and FY26 to be equally strong. And, this earnings momentum will continue. And power transformers is a very large opportunity, with power generation getting more and more importance and government also pushing this sector. I would not be surprised that, continuously new orders could also come in. So I think just wait for some time. I think rather than panicking and, thinking that the stock has lost ground considerably, one is the bonus adjustment. And secondly, obviously, the selling has come from investors who have actually got in earlier. So just continue to hold for 12, 15 months. I think long-term prospects continue to be good.
Long-term prospects continue to be good for Trill. Okay, it's a stock that a lot of people have found value in and have benefited from holding. Let's see if that continues. It is that kind of market. Let's admit that, right? The stock is under pressure today. Jana Small Finance Bank is the next counter that we're talking about, and Chandra is writing in from Bengaluru asking about this. 2,000 shares bought at levels of 404. The view is for 1 year that is being sought. Very close to the current market price. The question is for you, Brijesh, on the charts. What would you do with this? Would you hold, and what are the targets that you would have for a 1 year time frame?
So specifically from the 1 year period, I think the level of this 350, 360 is a demand zone. Previously also during the March 2024, the stock has taken support and then seen a decent bounce. So maybe from the year point of view, it can bounce back to 450, 470 level. So that would be a trading bet. And eventually, if everything goes right, then 520 would be the directional view for this counter. So somebody's holding should hold with the stop loss of 360.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on Jana Small Finance Bank. The next counter that we have is NTPC Green. Shahjahan from Muscat is writing in, and he wants to know whether he should accumulate more or sell or hold at the current levels. He's holding around 573 shares bought at 123 a piece. So this is his average price. Avinash, I'll come to you. What's the view with respect to NTPC Green?
No, I think, if the investor has a 18-month kind of time frame, NTPC Green entered the capital market recently. I think it's a great business, a very strong kind of growth opportunity. And I think, suddenly solar stocks have become slightly unfavorable in the current market situation. But if you see the business model and if you see the kind of capacity expansion this company is planning over the next 12, 18 months, I think definitely they should do well. First of all, they've got the parentage of NTPC, so there's a lot of financial and technical support from the parent. My sense is unless the investor has a long-term view, because these kind of stocks are not going to move up in a hurry. But yes, over the next 12 to 18 months, if he can hold on, he can definitely average at the current level. It could be a good bet for the longer term.
Okay. Let's take the next caller. We've got Vani who's calling us from Visakhapatnam. Hi Vani, thanks so much for calling us. How can we help you today?
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to know the status of Chennai Petro,
Okay.
wherein I'm holding the shares of quantity 200, and I have an average of 940.78 for each share.
Okay.
So currently I'm running at a huge loss.
Yes. When did you buy this, Vani?
This I have been buying since August. I have been updating my stock since August of 2024.
Right. What was the
Since then
thinking,
I-
Vani? Can you help me as to why you chose this particular counter to invest in?
Yeah, it was like I was very much new to this stock market. I have just started it sometime in August only,
Right.
2024.
Yes.
So, like I, in association with my friend, we have invested jointly in this particular share as it was doing really good, and we had received information that it was a very good company.
Okay.
But like after that, I have seen a steady decline in the pricing of this share.
Understood.
So now I'm in a position wherein I cannot hold it, nor can I sell it.
Okay. It is a consequence, Vani, of fundamentals as well as the market as a whole. Let me go across to, and can I clarify, would you intend to hold this for the long term if that is the recommendation?
Yeah, I don't mind holding it for long, but like I would like to take some advice whether I should add some more to this particular share or like just hold it as it is.
Got it. Or move out and invest in something else, right?
I cannot move out because I'm already experiencing a huge loss, almost 92K.
I understand that. But sometimes it's better to book the loss and move out to protect your capital. So let me leave that to Avinash, of course, to give you the guidance that you need. Avinash, it is the space that has seen not so good times, right? So lots of headwinds playing out and understandably so, right, on the earnings front. But would you say that having lost so much in value, she should hold on or she should move out into something else?
No, I think clearly, the price at which the stock has been acquired, Alex, at 940. I don't remember when Chennai Petro was that high, but clearly, the price seems to be quite on the higher side, and that's probably one of the reasons the stock has given a maximum amount of loss for the investor. See, my sense is that unless the investor wants to take at least a 2-year kind of view, unless the investor is willing to wait for this kind of outperformance to happen only over the next 2 years, then only the investor should hold on. Otherwise, my sense is I think it's better to cut your loss and get into something else. Simply, look at PSU banking stocks or typically private banking stocks, where at least the risk reward is in your favor. Because see, whenever you buy a stock, you have to obviously look at the risk reward and the kind of the risk which you are taking to get that upside. In case of the current investment, I think the buying price has been very, very high, and to get that price, I think is going to take a long time. And I wouldn't advise the investor to even average at the current levels, because this is a commodity business and where margins are already going to be dictated by crude prices, the rupee movement, etc. So I think the best scenario is to get out and probably look at investing into some other stock like maybe a Bank of Baroda or maybe a Canara Bank, where I think the risk reward is in the favor of the investor.
And of course, Mahima, being a chartered accountant, can explain this to you. Vani, in the event that you have to book a loss in the capital market, there is a provision in the law for you to set off against future capital gains. And if you book it in this financial year, which is still about a month and a half, you can actually utilize it over the next 8 financial years, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So yes, as Alex correctly mentioned, that's the right strategy to adopt. If you're looking for saving some taxes or your capital gains. Moving on to our next query, we have a query from Jagdish, who's from Andhra Pradesh. He's bought Kopran shares. He's bought around 200 shares at a price of 325, which is averaged out. Kopran is basically a fully integrated pharmaceutical company that manufactures and supplies high quality formulations, and it's basically into API. He wants to know the view with respect to this. He wants to know whether he can average out. Any suggestions on this? Brijesh, I'll come to you. It's a small company, 800 crore market cap, but with respect to the charts, how is it faring?
So yeah, it's quite difficult because the stock has been falling quite a bit, like from the levels of 220, 225, it is almost at 168. So structurally, I can't see any strength. Maybe fundamentally, if there is some strength, then we can figure it out. But then from directional point of view, or maybe from technical perspective, there can be a further damage. The stock can come close to 150 levels. So I think that would be the immediate trend for the stock. And we need to keep a watch on it. So maybe if fundamentals are okay, then might be closer to 150. We can add few quantity, but on an immediate basis, I think 150 would be the next level to watch.
In fact, pharma as a sector is doing well, and the stock is up 2.5% despite the kind of choppiness in the markets. All right, we have our next caller lined up. Tarun from Ranchi is calling in. Tarun, a very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Yeah, very good morning. Actually, I'm holding Hindalco Industries Limited for a long time. I bought total shares at an average price of 595.
Right.
And I'm going to hold it for a long time. I just want to ask you whether I should accumulate more as the stock and also other metal stocks. All metal stocks like in Hindustan Zinc, Vedanta Limited or Tata Steel. I want to buy all these stocks. Is it the right time to buy these?
Okay, Tarun, when you chose Hindalco, was it the fundamentals that you saw? Should I get your fundamental view on this particular counter?
No, Hindalco is a good company. It's already giving a lot of profits every quarter. Nothing bad with the company at all. It's just fallen. That's all. It's a good company. I worked in Hindalco for a long time myself, so it's a very good company.
Right.
These are all profitable companies like Hindalco, Hindustan Zinc, profitable company, Vedanta, profitable company.
Right.
Okay, these are all profitable. Just wanted to know what should I do? I should buy more?
I understood your point, Tarun. Okay, Avinash, I'll come to you. He wants to invest in metal counters and he wants to know whether he should accumulate Hindalco at the current levels or not. I read a BOFA report today which said that they are completely avoiding global cyclicals at the moment because of a lot of uncertainty going on, when global factors play its role. What's your with respect to the metal space as well as Hindalco?
No, I think we also look at metals, with a little cautious stance as of now, because see, frankly, with the kind of tariffs announced by the US president, I think going forward, there are expectations that tariff war could increase, and that definitely could put a little bit of pressure on steel exports, specifically, aluminum exports. One good part for Hindalco specifically is that Novelis came out with very good numbers. So, they have a pretty good stance on that kind of positioning on the Novelis side. But if you look at the domestic market side and most importantly, the outlook for margins, at least for the next couple of quarters, till the currency does not stabilize and till the tariffs are not very clear, I would say that there's no hurry for an investor to actually go and buy these stocks immediately. You could possibly see the stock remaining in a very close range, at least till this coming September. And post-September, obviously, as demand, improves and obviously tariffs are more or less clear. At that point of time, one could think of accumulating the stock. There's no doubt that Hindalco is a great company with a very strong product franchise and a very strong cost optimized structure. But I think in the current scenario, going for metal companies would be a little risky. So it's better to wait and watch for some time.
Watch out for what's happening in China as well. That's something that is going to have a bearing on metal prices, whether or not the bounce back happens in that economy. Pradeep is calling us from Kerala. Hi Pradeep, good morning. How can we help you today?
Good morning, Mr. Alex. How are you?
Very well. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, lots of people crying. Anyway, I'm looking for subscribe.
Okay.
Yeah, right now I think I lost almost like a 35% of the loss. And I would like to, this is the right time to add more, or so I need to wait for few more sectors? Few more. Pardon me? Yeah, go ahead.
Few more,
like a week or month.
Okay. So is this the right level to accumulate? And you've bought Brainbees Solutions based on the fundamentals, right, Pradeep?
Right, yeah.
And so you're looking for a long-term view on this, right?
Yeah, it's like 1 year.
1 year time frame. Okay, Brijesh, then I'm going to come to you on the charts. The acquisition price is 655 quite a sharp erosion in capital. Close to 400 is the level right now. Would you add or would you wait for better levels?
Alex, this is the new listed.
Okay, you don't have enough
company.
data. Sure. Avinash, any view on Brainbees Solutions? Down about 3% or thereabouts in trade. And if I remember correctly, post its results, it's taken a bit of a hammering.
No, I think, see, the business model is very strong and the growth opportunity over the longer term definitely is very attractive. But yes, in the short term, with these kind of numbers, valuations still appear to be quite expensive. So I think, if the investor has just a 1 year perspective in mind, then I think, I don't think, you're going to see a very strong kind of re-rating in the near term. Unless the investor has a really long-term view and can stay invested here for the next couple of years. See, because this business has been new, it was, promoted with a lot of fanfare during the public issue time. But unfortunately, the company has not delivered on the numbers. So I think, despite having a very strong franchise, unless the market sees better earnings growth and better good quality performance numbers from the company, any short-term upside is not possible. So I would say that, rather than booking a loss, just keep a long-term time frame of at least, 12 to 18 months. 1 year could be a little short. So I think keep the faith alive and keep invested for a longer period of time.
Okay. The stock is taken a beating of about 19-20% over just a month's time frame. And I guess the advice is appropriate. Wait and see how it pans out. Hope that answers your question. Now, we have to slip into a quick break, but a quick reminder for tomorrow. We've got, before that, Brijesh, thanks so much for joining in. I understand that you have to leave us, and thanks so much for taking the time. Avinash, to stay with us. Quick reminder for tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, 18th of February, 10 a.m. onwards, we've got the flagship business event of NDTV Profit. It's called the NDTV Profit Conclave. It's set to bring together some of India's biggest corporate and political leaders to discuss the country's roadmap to becoming a developed nation by 2047. The theme is Blueprint for Viksit Bharat 2047, and the conclave will focus on inclusive development, sustainable progress, and strong governance with a special emphasis on youth empowerment. Union Minister Piyush Goyal will be joining us, and so will State Bank of India Chairman C.S. Setty. Mahindra and Mahindra's Anish Shah, Nadir Godrej, Ramdev Agarwal, and Morgan Stanley's Rhythm Desai, all of them are going to be there at the event tomorrow. Hope you're going to be there as well. We'll be back after this very quick break. Do stay tuned.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
भाषण सुना उसके बाद मेरा पहला एक्रोनिम निकाला मैंने, वो था RRR, रिस्पॉन्सिबल, रिफॉर्मिस्ट, और मैंने कहा रिवॉल्यूशनरी। हाउ डिड यू अराइव एट दिस नंबर ऑफ 12 लाख रुपीस?
हमें लगता है टैक्स पेयर उस लेवल नंबर से टैक्स भर रहा है, क्या उनको हम कुछ कर सकते हैं?
प्राइवेट सेक्टर कैपेक्स अभी तक वो इन्वेस्ट क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं, जबकि आपका इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ही बताता है कि वो कैश पाइल पे बैठे हुए हैं।
अगर कंजम्पशन बढ़ता और उसके तहत लगता है कि ग्रेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट का पॉसिबिलिटी है, वो भी अच्छा ट्रिगर हो सकता है।
एआई बहुत तेजी से आ रहा है, तो जॉब के चैलेंजेस होंगे, स्किल के चैलेंज पहले से हैं, तो जो ट्रांजिशन पीरियड का स्ट्रगल है, नौकरी मुझे अभी चाहिए।
पूरे साल का एक्सपोजर दिलाने के लिए हम इंटर्नशिप प्रोग्राम ले आए, और इसके साथ साथ इस बजट में भी ट्रेनिंग फॉर एआई इसके लिए सेंटर्स बनाए हैं।
Do you really know the company you invest in?
Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit, a show that answers all your stock-related queries, whether they're fundamental or technical. For viewers who are just tuning in, you can either call us or WhatsApp us on the number that's flashing on your screen. We're also joined by Ajit Mishra, who is going to answer all your tech-related queries from Religare Broking. Welcome to NDTV Profit, Ajit. I'll take the first caller that's lined up for you. Anant from Bengaluru is calling in. Anant, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Hi, good morning, Mahima and Alex. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for asking.
Yes. Go ahead with your query.
See, I was holding Triveni Turbines
Okay.
at 461.
Okay.
I'm having around 300 shares.
Mm-hmm.
And currently the shares have fallen almost 20-30% from the top.
Right.
And I would like to know, can I add more or should I hold for some more week or hold for a couple of more weeks or month to add it?
Understood. Okay, understood your query, Anant. Ajit, I'll come to you. Triveni Turbines is the counter. Are the current levels attractive enough to enter?
Yeah, good morning, Mahima. So my advice to Anant would be to wait and watch because yes, as per the stock, if you say that definitely these are the key areas basically where the stock tested in past also around the weekly 100 days of exponential moving average and rebounded thereafter. But since the tone in the broader market is still not very conducive, means though we are seeing a respite or a rebound after a sharp plunge last week, and otherwise also there could be more dent in the stock prices in case if it fails to hold 535. So we are very closer to that mark, and if the dynamics changes for the broader markets also simultaneously, then he can look to add. Otherwise, because it's a low volume counter, in case if it fails to hold this level, then probably 450 could be the area where the stock might test next. So he should wait and watch and keep a close eye on 535 and small cap index as well. Once we see any sign of reversal, then only he should add, otherwise avoid.
Okay. All right. So that's the comprehensive view on Triveni Turbines. Ajit, thanks so much for joining in and good morning to you. Mastek Limited is the name of the counter that we're talking about next. And this is another one that I'm throwing at you, Ajit. This is a question from Vinay. And he's asking whether this is the right time to buy the stock. What's your opinion?
Yeah, good morning, Alex. So, Mastek, if you see that, the entire IT pack, I would rather say, is comparatively better in this entire downturn. Large cap, mid cap IT names, they have done exceptionally well. Now, we feel that this stock has potential to again witness some bounce. Due to the oversold position, the stock has witnessed a sharp decline of late. So with multiple supports at 2200 mark, from the short-term point of view, definitely you can look to go for a long position, a revival or a rebound trade with 2550 being the immediate target. The risk to reward is favorable. With strict stop at 2200, you can attempt a rebound.
Okay. All right. That's a view on Mastek. Let's go across to our next caller. We've got Rama calling us from Visakhapatnam. Rama, good morning, and how can we help you today?
Hey Alex, good morning. How are you doing?
Very well. What about you?
I'm doing good.
Good. What's your question?
Well, I've had around 3,100 stocks from Yes Bank, and it's currently running at a loss of 7,000 to 8,000.
Yes.
So I'm just looking at, if I'm holding it, how long should I be holding? And if I have to add a little more onto it, at what numbers can I add a little more?
Okay, just a couple of follow-up questions then, Rama. Did you buy it? What was the thesis that you had when you bought it? Did you buy it for the long term?
Well, I have probably a year on my mind.
Okay. Okay, you have a year. So therefore, did you have some levels in mind when you bought it at 20 rupees? Did you think that it would go up to a certain level? Did you have a profit in mind?
I was looking at possibly like, probably 5 to 7 rupees in each stock.
Got it. All right. I understand. So not a considerable upside. So it's actually a pretty level-headed approach and expectation. So let me go across once again to Ajit on the technicals. Ajit, 17 rupees or thereabouts is, or 18 rupees or thereabouts is where Yes Bank is. He's only looking for an upside of what, 20% or thereabouts. And I say that that's a pragmatic approach because I've heard of a lot of other traders, investors looking at significantly higher upsides. Would you say that these are the right levels to look at?
So Alex, though his return expectation is moderate, but I would rather say that he has considered a wrong stock within the sector for this approach, because anyways he could easily get these kind of return by holding the large cap private banking names like ICICI, SDFC, Kotak. So though he's seeing some losses, but I would rather suggest him to, because he's expecting moderate returns. So switch to Kotak even at current levels, because for now, Yes Bank to move from 17 to 26, 28, it might take months, because the trend is down, and in case if it fails to hold 17 mark, probably we can retest the previous swing lows around 15, 15.5. So it's likely to underperform the sector is what the indications are. The Kotak, on the other hand, we have seen a major break after almost 3.5 years of consolidation. So he can definitely switch from Yes Bank to Kotak and hold it for a year.
So you've spoken about private banking names and large cap ones at that, but the next question is an interesting one because I was going to ask about this anyway. Shiva, thanks so much for calling, and you're asking about State Bank of India. Incidentally, I was just going to ask Avinash about that. What's your question?
Hey, Alex.
Hi, morning. Please go ahead.
So I bought SBI for 842.
Yes.
I just bought around 2,000 shares.
Yes.
Obviously sitting on a loss. When I bought, I thought I would hold it for a month and a half. I bought it just before the NPC monetary policy.
Yeah.
And I thought RBI monetary policy, I thought that the share may go up, and I set it off. But we are witnessing a very choppy market. So I just want to get the opinion of your panel to see whether how we, what is the long time or short term horizon for this.
So allow me, Shiva, to ask Avinash about this because it's an interesting proposition. We're talking about which banks you should be investing in. And I was looking at a couple of numbers today. Avinash, I was looking at the MOSL note, and they've got in their model portfolio State Bank of India, and they've got ICICI Bank. And incidentally, just one above the other. So I was looking at some of the ratios here, and you're talking about a price to book ratio of close to 1.2 for State Bank of India. You're talking about return on equity in a comparable period that is actually better than ICICI Bank for State Bank of India. So would you say that this is a great time to be looking at this bank for the long term? Valuations are a little depressed, and this is accumulation zone.
Yeah, I think, Alex, if you look at the longer time frame, SBI stock obviously went up very fast, and now the kind of valuation multiples which you are saying, I think clearly spells out the fact that if the time frame is at least 12 to 18 months, hopefully when the Indian economy takes off and the interest rates start coming down, the economy gets back into great numbers again. I think this is definitely going to favor the banking sector stocks, and SBI being a market leader. It enjoys one of the largest balance sheets and one of the best geographical spread out locations. So I think all this will get reflected into better valuations and better profit numbers in the next say 12 to 18 months. So I think the investor should not take a short term call, because I heard him saying that he bought the stock for the short term. See, SBI is not a stock where possibly you could now play in for the short term, because clearly the banking sector is depressed. We could see some improvements only from the April to June quarter. So I think you'll have to hold on for at least next 12 to 15 months. to get a decent risk reward. So my suggestion is don't book a loss and wait for the next 12 to 15 months for the earnings to play out.
All right, that's the view coming in on SBI Bank and hold is the view. Wait for the next few months for earnings to play out is the view from Avinash. The next query that we have is on Piramal Pharma. Ravi has bought the shares at 240 a piece, or he's bought 240 shares at, no, he's bought it at 240 a piece. The quantity is not mentioned. 250. Okay, 250 is the quantity, and he wants to know whether he should, continue to hold or sell. His view is long term. So Avinash, I'll come back to you again. What's the view with respect to Piramal Pharma?
No, I think Piramal Pharma has been doing pretty well. In fact, they have been very clearly saying that over the next 12 to 15 months, they have a very strong visibility in terms of revenue. And I think clearly this was a company which was a demerged entity. So obviously, the markets did not have a real track record in terms of numbers, in terms of the return ratios. But I think looking at its short trading history on the markets, my suggestion is that only if the investor can hold on for the next 12 to 18 months, one could expect a decent rise. See, pharma companies have been in the flavor because markets have been very volatile. But this stock, unfortunately, has not taken off the way I think the markets anticipated right from the time it got listed. So I think you need to have a little more longer time frame to make a decent risk reward here. Although the promoters, the business definitely looks promising, I think you need to give in at least 1 to 1.5 years here to have the entire new business proposition and the earnings to play out.
That's the view with respect to Piramal Pharma. The next caller is lined up for us. Murli from Bengaluru is calling in. Murli, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
A very good morning to you. And I bought Just Dial.
Okay.
I bought 1,000 shares at the rate of 1234, 1234.
Okay.
I am incurring a loss of more than, quite substantial loss.
Right.
I bought it because consistently the results are good. And Reliance has some stake in it.
Right.
Maybe minor stake. And keeping the digital thing coming out, I thought in the long term it will play well.
Okay.
More than a year since I bought. Is it better to book the losses, short-term loss, or switch over to something solid, not in A group? I'm not talking about A group. I'm talking about mid-cap, good mid-caps.
Okay, good mid-caps. And you want a fundamental view, Murli, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you are right. Yes, my query is to the fundamental analysis.
Okay. Avinash, I'll come to you. Just that in terms of Q3 was, although revenue did not pick up to the extent it was expected to, but user base did increase for the counter. What's the view with respect to Just Dial? Because he's sitting on a loss of over 4 lakh rupees right now. What should he do? Book some partial losses and, wait for some time? What's the view? Avinash, I think you're on mute. Okay, we can hear you now, Avinash.
See, I think first of all, he has purchased Just Dial at a very highly inflated level. And I think now in the very short term, looking at the kind of numbers which the company has presented, it looks very unlikely that at least in the very near term, at least next 6 to 12 months, any significant amount of re-rating is possible. Now, he mentioned that Reliance has taken a stake here, but I think unless the company generates a better earnings quality and generates a very strong earnings growth, it's unlikely that this fintech company could be re-rated. We have seen a lot of these fintech companies getting de-rated once market gets a sense that the margins are under pressure or the scalability is under threat. So I think it's a competitive business even for Just Dial. So I think unless he gives a time frame of at least 12-18 months, you're not going to see any major upside. And he was mentioning that he could switch over to something else. See, I think now within the telecom infra space, we feel that, companies like Indus Towers, at around 335, 337, look pretty interesting. This company will generate a profit of almost 10,000 crores in the current year. And basically, is a very important component when you talk about 5G growth. So I think, looking at its market dominance and the kind of profit trajectory, here I think, valuations also seem to be quite reasonable. So, possibly if he wants to switch over and maybe book a partial loss in Just Dial, he can consider Indus Tower, because here I believe the telecom space is buzzing. And hopefully, I think next 12 to 15 months, you could see a lot of activity here.
The next counter that we're talking about is SML Isuzu, and Lalita is pointing out that she's seeing a considerable loss. She's saying 74,000 rupees is the loss that she's currently incurring. Stock is under pressure today as well at 1,115. Ajit, on the charts, what's the advice that you would give here?
So Alex, I feel the damage has already been done, means the stock has fallen sharply, almost 50% from the record highs. and still there is no sign of recovery. But due to the oversold position plus the volumes are drying up now, so this shows that sellers are also getting exhausted. But we need some sign of decisiveness or a recovery. So as of now, I would recommend her to stay put. Now on the closing basis, 1050 is something that should maintain as a stop loss. In case if it fails to hold that level, then probably it can test 800 also in the coming days.
Okay.
So as of now, it's a hold.
As of now, it's a hold. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a hold, but watch those levels very closely. Make sure you keep a stop loss in place for these counters. By the way, if you're seeing significant drawdowns in any one of your stocks in the broader markets, then you're not alone. I was looking at the numbers this morning. Only 85 shares out of the Nifty 500 have fallen less than 20% from 52-week highs. Right. And quite a considerable number of those shares have actually fallen significantly more than 30%. Okay, let's take the next caller. We've got Prithvi calling us from Bengaluru. Hi, Prithvi. Thanks so much for calling us. How can we help you today?
Good morning, Alex. How are you?
Very well. How are you? Tell me.
I'm good. I was holding around 30 shares of Cigniti Technologies.
Okay.
And I took it around, the average price around 1,610.
Okay.
And, I did a little bit of research where, last 2 quarters results were very good. And there is a merger which is happening with Coforge. And Coforge, this quarter, the results were not that great. However, Cigniti was good. And after they announced the merger, number of shares, this has started falling. So I would like to know whether can I add more or should I wait little?
Understood. So you've done your research. This is a small company, 3,700 odd crore, but I'm sure Avinash has looked at it. Prithvi, let me go across to Avinash on this one. Cigniti Tech, are you tracking, Avinash, and what's the advice here?
No, I think as the investor mentioned, this company is going to be merged with Coforge. And I think, now going forward, market is looking at the consolidated entity because, whenever a merger is announced, I think it's the distribution swap ratio which is more important in the near term. My sense is that, let the merger happen, Alex, and then I think one could take a consolidated view because on a standalone basis, I think numbers have been pretty good. Markets have seen these numbers, but unfortunately, it's not got reflected in the numbers because markets are now looking at the consolidated structure. And since Coforge reported a little disappointing set of numbers, we are seeing that, the movement in Cigniti is also more or less, static. So clearly wait for the time for this merger to get through. I think already the merger has been announced. So I think maybe in the next 6 months, we could get better clarity on the consolidated entity. Overall, I think on a standalone basis, I think the company continues to do well. But going forward, since it's going to be a part of Coforge, the market would obviously attribute a valuation multiple based on the consolidated entity. So I think rather than buying the stocks now and adding your positions now, it's better for the consolidation process to get over and then take a call.
All right, that's quite a comprehensive view coming in on Cigniti Tech. The next query that we have is on Canara Bank. Ravindra has bought in Canara Bank shares. He's bought on 110 shares at an average price of 105. He bought the shares based on the strong fundamentals, but he wants to know whether it's a good, idea to average out at the current levels or hold for more time as the market may go down still. Ajit, I'll come to you because, he's looking for, one more entry in this counter. Are the current levels attractive enough to make the entry?
So, Mahima, we have seen decent correction from the record highs. Means it retested its record highs almost after 13, 14 years. And usually we see correction, but, considering the kind of carnage that we are seeing across the board, that correction has increased, but I believe that this zone close to around 79 to 75 is a very strong base for Canara Bank. So if his view is long term and he's planning, to hold for a year or two, definitely he can look to add around this 75 to 80 zone.
Just a quick correction. He's bought 250 overall shares and he's bought it at an average price of 105. So that's the view with respect to Canara Bank. But we have our next caller, Ramesh from Mumbai is calling in. Ramesh, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
A very good morning, and I'm really thankful for taking my call. And I'm also lucky to have my question to Avinash Tovaskar. I'm a big fan of his. I have a question regarding Saint-Gobain India.
Okay.
It's a glassmaker, French company. I have done my reasonable research about the company. It's a fundamentally good company. It's a small cap company. I have bought 200 shares of around at a rate of 140. So my question is regarding long term. Is this company good? I can still or can add more at the current rate. So that's my question regarding this company.
Okay, Ramesh, I got your query. Avinash, I'll come to you. Ramesh says he's a big fan of yours and he wants to have a view with respect to Saint-Gobain. If you have a view on this particular counter, it's a small company with a market cap of around 1,000 odd crores.
No, I think Saint-Gobain has been a very old player in the float glass market, and I think it's got almost all the leading auto OEMs as its customers. I think what really keeps Saint-Gobain completely ahead is basically the kind of technology it gets from its collaborator. And I think the immense export opportunities. In fact, the company has been always saying that export market is a very large market, and going forward, the export market also be a very big opportunity for them. I think in the very near term, because the auto sector is going through a pretty, short-term kind of challenge in terms of the volume kind of softness, there could be a possibility that the company may underperform, for the near term, at least for the next couple of quarters. But longer term, if the investor wants to buy, I think 100 to 105 or 110 odd levels, what the stock is currently trading, he could take a 2-year view and stay invested. I think it's a good business, an MNC company. And most importantly, has a very strong kind of, export market potential. India, of course, is a very large opportunity for auto OEMs. And there are very few players, like Asahi India and Saint-Gobain. These are probably the larger players operating in the float glass space. So I think to that extent, he can stay invested, but keep a time frame of at least 2 years.
An interesting play, right? Because if you're catering directly to the automotive OEMs, Avinash, and if the car has to be sold, it needs a glass, and how could we be able to sell it without it? So therefore it's certainly something to track. Look at the wholesale numbers also, just to see where things are going for these two companies. The next question is on Jyothy Laboratories, right? Jyothy Labs. We've got Raju, who's bought at levels of 344. The stock is currently trading at very close to that level. Actually, he's wondering whether to buy it at the current level. Let me amend the question. Ajit, on the charts, is this a good idea?
So Alex, the stock is in fact drifting gradually lower post numbers, and we have a new low. So probably close to around 325 is something where we have the next major support place for Jyothy Labs. So in case if his view is short term, he can start accumulating in the range of 320, 325 and maintain a stop at 300 for the entire position.
All right, so that's the view coming in on Jyothy Labs. The next query that we have is on Power Grid. Ananya has bought in 120 shares at 335 per share, and she's been holding it since the last 3 months. She wants to know whether she should hold it for next 1 year or not. Ajit, I'll come to you. What's the view with respect to Power Grid on the charts?
So, Mahima, if you'll see most of these, energy-related counters, they have seen a very sharp correction in the recent weeks. And we are seeing a similar kind of a move in Power Grid also, though it's a low beta name. I feel it's extremely oversold now, and there's a possibility that we might see some sign of, reversal also in the near future due to the oversold position plus the support that exists around 250 area. So she should definitely stay put, and gradually in the first leg of this recovery, close to around 280-85 is something that the stock might test. And then probably her buying area close to around 300-310. So as of now, definitely she should maintain their longs with 240 as a closing stop loss and 285 as an immediate target.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that view. And it's time now to hit the rapid fire segment. And this, by the way, in case you're tuning in for the first time, is where we throw as many questions over a period of 2 minutes at both our experts. Experts, do keep your answers as concise as possible. The first question is on delivery for the long term. Raghu wants to know, he's bought at levels of 320. Should he add more? Avinash?
No, I think he should avoid. Wait for some time.
All right, JSW Energy is the next counter. Vamsi from Andhra Pradesh is holding 75 shares at an average price of 538. Should she average at the current levels, Ajit?
Yeah, she can add more and maintain a stop at 410.
Okay. ITC Hotel, borrowed levels of 170, can it be added for the long or short term? Avinash?
Yeah, I think can be added, but keep a long-term time frame.
Okay, Jio Finance is the next counter. The person is holding around 360 shares, and he wants to know, Rajendra wants to know whether he should book a loss of 2 lakhs that he's sitting on, or he should continue to hold. What's the view, Avinash?
But I think he should continue to hold. I think keep a long time frame for at least 12 to 18 months.
Okay, Gale, average price of 178. Rishabh wants to know whether to hold or what should he do, as he can hold for more time, investing since 2022. Avinash?
No, here also I think continue to hold. I think in the near term, the stock has got impacted because gas companies have underperformed, but continue to hold.
Okay, Ajax Engineering that got listed today. What's the view with respect to that, Avinash? Mohammad Shoaib wants a view because he's got an IPO allotment.
So I think my sense is I think it's a great business, but clearly from a longer term horizon. So I think continue to hold. Maybe the short term upside may not be there.
Okay. Avantel, borrowed levels of 200 and so incurring a significant loss. Priya Suraj wants to know whether to hold or exit. Ajit?
Extreme oversold, but no sign of recovery. Exit.
All right. Anita from Andhra Pradesh wants a view on SAIL. She's holding 121 shares. 121 price is the price and 200 is the number of shares. What's the view with respect to the charts, Ajit?
Hold, stop loss 90 and 3 months target 120.
Okay, all right. So we've covered quite a bit of ground. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in and for taking the time for answering all the questions you did. Always a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Ask Profit. From Mahima and myself and the team that put this show together, thank you so much for watching. Do stay tuned. Lots more coming up on NDTV Profit.
भाषण सुना उसके बाद मेरा पहला एक्रोनिम निकाला मैंने, वो था RRR, रिस्पॉन्सिबल, रिफॉर्मिस्ट, और मैंने कहा रिवॉल्यूशनरी। हाउ डिड यू अराइव एट दिस नंबर ऑफ 12 लाख रुपीस?
हमें लगता है टैक्स पेयर उस लेवल नंबर से टैक्स भर रहा है, क्या उनको हम कुछ कर सकते हैं?
प्राइवेट सेक्टर कैपेक्स अभी तक वो इन्वेस्ट क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं, जबकि आपका इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ही बताता है कि वो कैश पाइल पे बैठे हुए हैं।
अगर कंजम्पशन बढ़ता और उसके तहत लगता है कि ग्रेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट का पॉसिबिलिटी है, वो भी अच्छा ट्रिगर हो सकता है।
एआई बहुत तेजी से आ रहा है, तो जॉब के चैलेंजेस होंगे, स्किल के चैलेंज पहले से हैं, तो जो ट्रांजिशन पीरियड का स्ट्रगल है, नौकरी मुझे अभी चाहिए।
पूरे साल का एक्सपोजर दिलाने के लिए हम इंटर्नशिप प्रोग्राम ले आए, और इसके साथ साथ इस बजट में भी ट्रेनिंग फॉर एआई, इसके लिए सेंटर्स बनाए।
Tax regime for individual. In fact, there has been discussion on how to sort of reduce the tax rate.
I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What's the picture behind presentations and claims?
Hello and welcome. You're watching KYC, which is Know Your Company. It's a show designed to give the regular investor powerful, actionable insights into fundamentals of single NSE listed companies every day. So we're going to bring you today Aadhar Housing Finance. It's of course, as the name suggests, a housing financier. It's one of the largest private housing financiers in the small mid-cap kind of space. Has around 18,000 crore in terms of market cap, does mortgage related loans and products. It also has a presence largely in 20 plus states. It gives loans for residential property purchase as well as construction. It also does home improvement and extension loans. Of course, all of this is secured and all of this is in the retail category. Just quickly rolling forward, loans for commercial property and construction as well as acquisition. So it does those as well, but a smaller quantum, and it